This episode may contain adult themes and explicit language. Listener discretion is advised.
Sorry.
What's the trick in making my love stick? What's the trick?
Hello, and welcome to the Film Critic, the Common Man podcast. While other film podcasts might fake their own murder, we definitely do not have that kind of patience to make all that work. Every episode, we discuss a film from the perspective of a film critic and the perspective of a common man. We may not agree, but it certainly won't be boring. I'm your co-host, Ben Miller. I write about films for my own site, Ice Cream for Freaks. I'm a member of the North Texas Film Critics Association, as well as the International Film Society Critics. You can hear me guest on the other pods as David Thulis of Podcasting. I'm joined by my brother and common man co-host, a man who definitely wants to buy a gun for Valentine's Day, Jake Miller. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. I thought you were going to say a guy that you don't have to worry about inappropriately smiling in photographs. Like, I'd be like smiling in front of the missing poster wouldn't be a problem for me. I'd be
it's like, no, Jake, look like you're totally miserable. It's like, gotcha, no problem, buddy. Give us a smile.
Got it.
Nope, never a smile. Nope. If those aren't the clues, we are finishing off our Valentine's February romance, our kind of romance theme, with the most romantic of all movies, Gone Girl, directed by David Fincher, written by Gillian Flynn, based on her own book, starring Ben Affleck, Rosamund Pike, Neil Patrick Harris, Kim Dickens, Carrie Coon, and Tyler Perry, co-starring Patrick Fugit, Missy Pyle, Emily Ratajkowski, I think that's how you say it, Casey Wilson, Lola Kirky, Boyd Holbrook, Celia Ward, and Scoot McNairy. Opening date on September 26, 2014 at the New York Film Festival, went wide October 3rd, 2014, and made some bank. The biggest hit of David Fincher's career by far. $61 million budget, made 167.8 million US, 201 million international, 369 worldwide for an R-rated thriller that is not exactly a feel-good movie. Pretty good. Nominated for one Oscar, Best Actress for Rosamund Pike. Did lose to Julianne Moore. We talked about her a couple weeks ago for Still Alice. Kind of a surprise, only got one Oscar nomination. Did much better at the Golden Globes, Best Actress, Best Director, Best Screenplay, Best Score nominations. Rotten Tomatoes, I was tempering my expectations, and it landed exactly where I was expecting it to. High 80s, 88 for critics, 87% for audiences. It's so strange that a movie like this can be as well accepted as he is, because it's just it's a bummer. It's really dark. No character's really all that nice.
Nah, there's no good guy.
Not really. It's like, oh, who's the the most well-rounded nice character? I'm like, there's some people, but it's all gray area. I'll go through a quick plot summary of Gone Girl before we get started. On their 5th wedding anniversary, writing teacher Nick Dunn, played by Ben Affleck, returns home to find his wife Amy, played by Rosamund Pike, missing. Probably the first hour of the movie is just kind of the recounting of where Amy is. Did Nick do this? Her disappearance has a bunch of press coverage because of the book series that her parents based her on. Detective Rhonda Boney, who is Kim Dickens, is taking, is in charge of the investigation, talking to Nick and making sure all this kind of stuff's going on. Nick is kind of painted as a negative, jilted husband by the media, and every piece of evidence makes him look worse and worse. They are living in Missouri, so it's kind of a chaotic time there. And also, to add insult to injury, Nick is actually having an affair with one of his students, played by Emily Ratajkowski. They take a look at the house. They find blood and all over the place, and it seems like Amy was pregnant, and just intrigue. And then as it kind of goes further, Nick's sister, Margot, played by Carrie Coon, is very helpful in all this. He hires Tyler Perry, Tanner Bolt, Tyler Perry, to be his attorney, assuming he's going to be accused of killing his wife. It turns out at about the midpoint of the movie, we find out that Amy is very much alive and has staged every single aspect of all this, mostly because she's kind of seen a life for herself, and Nick challenged that in herself to be her best self, and he brought the best in himself from their relationship. But the hardships in their relationship and his lack of trying essentially has made her illegitimate. She finds out about the affair, and she essentially sets out on a path of revenge. She essentially sets him up, assuming he's going to be convicted and given the lethal injection. Then she's going to kill herself. Nick finds all this out, kind of challenges her back. Amy is hiding out in the mountains in the Ozarks, but she is robbed and therefore needs to kind of reveal herself. She goes to her ex-boyfriend, Desi, played by Neil Patrick Harris, and says, kind of makes
good old Doogie Howser.
Good old Doogie Howser, makes up a story about why she is the way she is, and he kind of holds her kind of hostage, and she uses this to her benefit, eventually having sex with him and slitting his throat. Makes it seem like he was the one that did all the abducting. She returns. Nick sees through this facade, but the media buys it. And then Nick's like, no, I don't want this. I want a divorce. And she artificially inseminates herself, is pregnant, and essentially convinces Nick to stay against his better judgment. And they both live happily ever after. Just
ultimate anchor, baby.
Man, you're talking about that. I mean, a way to keep a guy around. Okay, so this is not the most recent time I watched this. Is not the first time I had watched this. Same for you. The first time you had seen this, did you? So you're an hour in, and everything is happening, and you're like, oh, we didn't see Amy. We just see her in these flashbacks. It seems like, man, maybe Ben Affleck did kill her. But at the same time, you're like, but there's enough doubt. You're like, what actually did happen? In that 10 minutes of the twist, you're just like, okay, this thing is a totally different trajectory than I was ever thinking it was going.
Man, the first time I watched it and this last time I watched it, the first time that his wife makes an appearance and you see her face, I went, this bitch is nuts.
You can just tell off of the bat. I mean,
yeah, I knew who the ultimate bad guy was.
Sure. It's just
like ain't no one clean in this, but I was like, ain't nothing good going on behind those eyes, man.
I mean,
I hope it was an acting job. If it is, it's a good job. If it's not, that bitch is actually fucking crazy.
Rosamund Pike, this is her breakthrough role. She's been in a lot of various stuff. She was a Bond girl at one point, but I mean, this was the movie. Like, everybody knows who Rosamund Pike is now, and for the rest of her life, she's the lady from Gone Girl. This is what she is, and this is what she always will be, essentially. The twist itself, you're like, the most interesting part about it all is, having a guy like Ben Affleck as the lead character. You're just like, okay, we talked about it in previous episodes, but like with Mark Wahlberg, it's like, oh, he's an asshole from Boston. It's like really fits in that role.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, a kind of a ne'er-do-well slacker who might not be great with women, but is still handsome. Hey, Ben Affleck, do you want to pay this role? And he's like, got it. And very true to form. It's, she's nuts.
Can you play a guy that cheats on his wife?
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, I'm your dude.
Hey, can we hire a smoking hot model to be the lady I cheat on her with, please? He's like, director's like, I got you, buddy.
All right.
So, but at the same time,
like, good deal.
It's like,
where do I sign?
I'm glad we're on the same page about all this.
Yeah.
Affleck in this movie is very like, there's been situations where I'm like, I wonder if the actor is aware of how bad they're meaning to look. And I think we always have kind of looked at Ben Affleck as the second banana of the Matt Damon Ben Affleck side. And I don't think we necessarily give him the credit for his intelligence and probably his self-awareness. And I think he's perfectly aware of how much of a turd Nick is.
Yes. Yeah, I definitely think so. Man, there's certain films where Ben Affleck is in where I think his intelligence comes through.
Yes.
And yeah, he's, where he's not just playing second fiddle.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of them.
Yeah.
Where even though he's kind of playing
an
kind
idiot.
of a fuck up.
Yeah. I mean, essentially a second-rate college professor in Missouri of no note.
Yeah. With a crazy wife.
Yeah. Essentially, the only thing that makes him, for the sake of this film, the only thing that makes him interesting is her. Like, without her, and she kind of recognizes this at the end. Like, without me, you're not the end all be all guy. You might have been hot shit at one point, but this is not where you are, obviously. And I bring out the best in you, and it's kind of like, okay, so
yeah, she's like recapping like her diary.
Yeah.
Literally at one point she goes, "I made him. I challenged him. I pushed him. He wouldn't be here without me."
And
so.
One of my favorite little asides of this film is Nick goes on a fact-finding mission to find Amy's old boyfriends, and he runs into Scoot McNairy, my man Scoot. I love Scoot McNairy, in that bar, and he's like, "Well, let me tell you." And then after that conversation, it's funny because there's nothing there. I mean, outside of the only thing we believe this guy is because Scoot McNairy is enough of a character actor. You're like, "Oh, I like Scoot McNairy." You kind of believe him just there. But if you take it for face, you just have to take it on face value. There's nothing that says that he didn't rape her. Like now we know about Amy for the course of the movie, and we're like, okay, he's probably telling the truth. But from that point on, you're like, oh, this is what's actually happening. Amy is a nut. And it's not a nut. It's not necessarily that she's like, oh, she's evil for evil's sake. No. She has a means to an end. Just like any other villain, she has a purpose. She's trying to get somewhere in life, and she is not going to be held back by anything else.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like Fatal Attraction is that, like Glenn Close's character in Fatal Attraction. I mean, she has an end. It's not just craziness for crazy's sake or just trying to kill people just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
She's obsessed with this guy and wants to have a life with him. And she's willing to go to the ends of the earth to accomplish that. And that's pretty much the same thing here is, she's not going to lose her husband, and she's willing to frame him for murder.
Just like, well, what's the line? Just like, oh, you're telling me that it's like, I am a sad, lonely divorcee, and he gets to be happier than ever. No fucking way. Like, it's just, that's the level. It's like, nope, it's not going to be a happy ending for him and me having to pick up the pieces.
That's a special level of animosity there.
Yeah. And it's not even like, oh, well, he doesn't deserve this. It's like, you're not exactly like, yes, she's nuts. Yes, she does it. But it's like, he did do all of the shit that he was like, he did suck. And at the same time, there's an unreliable narrator aspect of it because she, in the diary, she's like talking about how to make it work. She's doing the diary, she's crying, she's saying this is actually what happens with the actual problems, credit card debt or whatever it is. And then she starts the fabrication. Yeah. And then at that point you're like, okay, what is real? It's like, from what it sounds like now, and it's never confirmed. It's like, did you hit her? It's like, no, I never touched her. It's like, you pushed her down. No, it never happened. But you see it happen in the thing. And it's that level of like, okay, where's the gray area of actually happening, and what did she make up for the sake of the story?
Yeah. And I mean, he's definitely cheating on her too with a much younger woman.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even if that's his only sin, even if he's perfect beyond that, it's enough dirt on him
Yeah.
to, for her to run with it,
I agree. And the smart thing this movie does is it gives Nick a real life confidant that you would have in this situation. It's like, hey, my twin sister who knows how crazy she is and has been around this whole time, knows she's nuts, and is that rock behind you. It's like, well, obviously I'm not going to I have my sister to fall back on, worst comes to worse.
Yeah. She's probably my favorite character just because she's so unwavering and loyal, but at the same time, she'll call him out on his bullshit.
Absolutely.
More than anyone else. Like, she catches him waking up with this college girl.
Yep.
And she balls him out, justifiably so. And, so I like her. She's there for support when he needs support and whenever he needs his ass ripped.
And even
she's there for that too.
And even at the end, whenever he decides he's going to stay with her, she's like, she's bawling, crying. I can't believe you're staying with after all she knows. And she's like, I need you on this. It's like, of course I'm with you. I've always been with you. And it's like, I'm just telling you, I'm really unhappy about it, but I'm still here. Like it's a really well felt thing between the two. It's one of my favorite relationships in the movie. And we talked about it, a film really without heroes. I
think Margot's the closest thing.
Margot
to a good guy.
or Rhonda, the police officer who doesn't really do anything wrong.
No,
you're not a fan. I would just compare her to Officer James, who sucks. Like the kid next to her. It's like, and it also, I like the little detective tricks in there. And it's like, what's your wife's blood type? And it's like, you don't know your wife's blood type? And it's like, should I know my wife's blood type? It's like, no, like just
yeah.
Do you know
I
your wife's
know the bitch's phone number?
Yeah, so I mean, it's
the only reason I know her address is because it's the same as mine.
It's like, you don't know her number, it's just saved in your phone. I get it. Yeah. So I mean, the acting in this movie is great, and the performances pretty much top to bottom are incredible. Rosamund Pike obviously gets the bulk of the accolades. So not counting her, I want to know your opinion, because I have a definite opinion. Who has the best performance that isn't Rosamund Pike?
Best performance.
Because I have a runaway winner that every time I watch it, it blows me away how much I like the performance. It's Tyler Perry. It doesn't he's so good in this movie, and it doesn't make sense. Why is it's such a silly thing.
Now that you mention it, I mean, in terms of being like a TV lawyer,
a TV defense lawyer
on, he does a great job.
When we think of lawyers, as far as
Johnny Cochran,
not even I think of more TV lawyers. Like, I've never seen a lawyer on TV and been like, you look like a nice guy. Like, it's like, you all look like turds. And he is empathetic, intelligent, investigative, just at the same time, is the guy at the end that goes, you two are fucked up so bad. It's hilarious. Good luck, Nick. Don't piss her off. He's just Tyler Perry. I didn't know Tyler Perry had this in him. I have seen other Tyler Perry movies, the Tyler Perry type movies, and you're like, okay, he's a buffoon and all this kind of stuff. Medea and all those type of things. And then you see this, and you're like, this is not like any other Tyler Perry thing. And he's so good in this movie. It's just, and
he is.
By the way, Carrie Coon, who plays Margot, it's her first ever movie. She's acclaimed stage actress, is married to a playwright, does a lot of acclaimed television. She tweeted at me on Twitter, and I almost crashed my car once. Just
Really? No shit.
aside, because I had mentioned I had said some tweet about her husband, about like, oh, his accomplishments. One, he married Carrie Coon, and two, he won the Pulitzer Prize. And she had liked the tweet, and it's really surprised me out of nowhere.
Nice.
But yeah, Carrie Coon really good in this movie too.
Very good.
I think her and Ben Affleck, for being twins, I think they're 10 years apart in age.
Oh, really?
I think she's but I mean, it feels right. Like they feel like they have
It
that.
does.
I don't know why that's such the case.
Yeah, it's they do a good job of pulling off. Obviously, me and you know what a sibling relationship is
Obviously,
like.
yes.
You know, and a good one, a close one. So I think they do a good job of
I agree. And I mean,
acting like good tight siblings,
and
you know?
in that comfort thing, whenever he's in the bar and he's like, so what are you going to give her for wood? And it's like, that's nothing good for wood. I have the exact line. It's like, I know what you can do. You can go home and fuck her brains out. Then you take out your penis, smack her in the face with it, and say, there's some wood, bitch. And I'm like, oh, that's a lived in relationship there. Like, just like, and he just kind
Thanks,
of,
sis.
yeah. Yeah, don't get me wrong. And you know, of all the things that the people in the media talk about badly about Nick in this movie, is they're very much just like, he kind of just shrugs him off, no big deal. But the thing, whenever they're like, oh, is he his sister? He's too close to his sister. That's the thing that really gets to him. It's like, of all the things, it's like, what? Like, it's one
That's
thing.
what he's most defensive about.
Call me a murderer every time. Don't say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot of
good point.
There's a really lot of small, great performances outside of this. Every time I watch this, I don't know if I like Neil Patrick Harris's performance. I mean, he is a means to an end, and I don't know if he does anything wrong, and I don't even necessarily think he was miscast. It just, something about it doesn't really sit with a level of authenticity. Maybe it's due to the fact that you're like, okay, so Neil Patrick Harris for so long was Doogie Howser, and then he switches to the How I Met Your Mother's side, but everybody knows he's gay, and so the goofy Lothario is one thing, but he's supposed to almost be menacing, and it just never really connects as being menacing.
No, like, I see that guy. I'm not worried about him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
You see some people and you're like, man, it'd suck to have to get into a fight with that guy.
Yes. Ben Affleck, great example.
Yeah, I'd be like, that'd be a tussle. But Doogie, I got you all day, bud. I'll flip your ass next to the macaroni and I'll free.
Exactly. He's rail thin. He looks fragile. I mean, it's just, I don't think Neil Patrick Harris does anything wrong. I just think it's not exactly the best of characterizations.
Not really. And also, Doogie Howser, How I Met Your Mother, this movie. What else?
Harold and Kumar. That was the thing that got him back.
The classic.
I love Harold and Kumar.
How many awards did that win again?
You're right. He's not that kind of actor. And he almost seems he's out of place. You're right. You're exactly right. He's almost out of place with everything that, like, everybody's so lived in and perfect for their roles, and he just doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And
he did seem like a stretch for his role.
Yeah. I can't think of anybody who should be in that role, but it should be somebody. He's the only one that ever feels like it's
someone else.
Yeah. I really like Missy Pyle as the Nancy Grace type. I
love that obvious caricature.
Oh man, it's so great. And you're just like, oh wow, and she does a great job at it. And then at the interview at the end is like, icebreaker, here's a cat for your dog. Again, like poking the bear, so you didn't kill her, but I'm still gonna poke the bear. And Emily Ratajkowski doesn't really do anything besides look like Emily Ratajkowski.
She did plenty for me. But...
I bet. I have no doubt. I also shout out to Casey Wilson as the stupid neighbor who
Oh,
I love Casey Wilson's is a comedy actress on a couple TV shows I love. Every time I see her, she's hilarious. In this movie, she's just meaning to be a grating idiot, and she does such a great
yeah.
job at being a grating idiot. Also,
And
go ahead.
yeah, and um, that's what that's what Amy says. Like she was part of her
Yeah.
of her entire plan. She was like, befriend idiot. Check.
Yeah, let's see exactly. Invite pregnant idiot into your home and ply her with lemonade. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The couple in the Ozarks, Lola Kirk and Boyd Holbrook. You know, it's that was a really interesting kind of aside, kind of being like those two are like kind of friendly, kind of not, but they're kind of devious, and but at the same time, like they steal all her money. And they go, hey, you got to be careful. You know, there are worse people out here than us. They're like, you just stole everything I have essentially and kind of ruined my entire plan. But at the same time, they didn't do anything like.
For me, it was cathartic.
Yeah.
Whenever that happened, because this chick thinks, oh, I'm smarter than everyone. I'm better. I can outwit everybody.
Especially these hillbilly idiots.
Oh, I'm such a little criminal. And yeah, I'm just in Podunk, Ozarks and everything like that. And takes a couple of simple people to go, if we want your money, we'll take it. And
knock it down a peg. Yeah.
And you know what? There's worse than us.
Yeah.
And if you think you're badass,
there's a level.
Couple of hillbillies just whooped your butt.
Like you said, it's a level of it's like, well, she knows, like you said, she has everything planned out, everything down to a T, and they go, no, we're gonna throw a wrench in that because you didn't expect us. You assume we're stupid, and maybe stupid's the wrong word. It's simple. She assumes. Yeah. She assumes, oh, they're not a threat. Why would they be a threat? And she just doesn't take everything into account, because you can't take everything into account. Like you said, knocks her down a peg.
She doesn't understand that you don't have to go to Harvard to learn how to rob someone.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. You just have to have the fortitude, and they certainly did. And then Celia Ward as the interviewer at the end. Longtime Celia Ward, aging like a fine wine, I might add, has been hot since The Fugitive. I mean, just an all-timer, hot older lady for me. Does a good job of also being like, oh, it's like I'm more of a journalist than I am like the Nancy Grace type, but I'm still still like, I want to get you, like, yeah, having that nice balance.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of their job, is to get the big scoop, get the big news, and, you know, go after someone and uncover something.
I mean, as a critic, anytime I interview somebody, I don't care. Like when I talk to somebody, right, I want to know about the movie that I get to talk to them about. But at the same time, people don't know who I am. So they're like, well, why would I have you interview them? You're going to ask them about their personal life. I'm like, well, I don't care about their personal life. But yes, exactly. Their job, it gets the ratings and all that kind of stuff. So whenever I first watched this movie, I saw it in the theater with my wife and her friend, and I knew the twist. I knew Amy wasn't dead. Mm-hmm. So I went in there. I had obviously not seen the movie, but I knew she wasn't dead. So I'm watching it. And as soon as she starts her speech and about what all she did, I look over, and the two women next to me are just gobsmacked at what's going on. I'm sitting there drinking, having a blast, because they're just like, what is going on? It was one of the more memorable movie going experiences I've ever had. I wanted to ask, is there a memorable movie theater experience that you remember? Maybe not based on this movie, but one specifically that you would like to share.
Yeah. Well, it was with you
Yes.
and our other brother and our cousin.
Yep.
We were watching Gods and Generals.
A 4-hour snooze fest of a Civil War epic. The one of the most boring movies.
It's tough, man.
I mean, we got to the 2-hour mark and they were like, oh, it's kind of a funny ending. Intermission.
It's like, fuck, it's only half over.
Oh man, it was rough. Anyway, so continue.
But at some point during this movie, someone in the audience audibly farts.
Yes.
Just, I mean,
nothing crazy, but I mean, it was
just
obvious what it was.
Someone ripped one.
Yeah.
Okay. And I really don't pay it.
I think we're all teenagers.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't really pay attention to it initially. I think I was next to our younger brother.
Uh-huh.
And I just lean over just to confirm with him that was a fart that I heard, right? Like, I literally wasn't going to make a joke, nothing. Like,
yeah.
Did you hear a fart? Okay. I moved my head and he loses it.
just can't stop laughing. And
I lose it. Cousin loses it.
I lose it.
You lose it.
We know everybody.
We have to go to the bathroom.
Everybody knows why we're laughing. Everybody is just, it's just like audible fart, a little bit of silence. Just yeah. Good times.
That's the only positive memory I have of that movie. That was the only good
film.
thing.
I agree. I like yes, the only positive out of that one. I remember a couple others. I remember watching Anchorman with you and our brother.
Oh man,
in the theater, just the perfect movie at the perfect time, and it just hit us all. It was the funniest front to back movie I've seen in a theater ever.
Yeah.
Like it was just like we were the perfect age for that to come out. And as anybody who has listened to this podcast, Jake has an incredible laugh, and anytime you can get him rolling is a good time for anybody.
Oh man. I get going real hard then. I mean, I'm bound to get kicked out of a place.
Well, and you know, it's always funny. I always think to myself, like when we were kids, you and our other brother both had asthma. So anytime a movie would get you too funny, we'd have to pause because you had asthma attacks. Famously, the Nutty Professor did that to us during the famous farting scene. Gave both of my.
Oh, that's another good fart.
Another good fart. Yeah. So I mean, those little movie theater experiences always stick with you.
The Nutty Professor and Gods and Generals.
The two fart movie classics. Yes.
Probably the hardest I've ever laughed.
Well, let's take a quick break and we'll come back. All right, we are back. Every week I go through the filmography of a filmmaker and put Jake's cinematic knowledge to the test. It is time for Pull for a Dumbass. For this week, we are doing the star of Gone Girl, the heralded star, I guess. Got some of the best critical acclaims of his career heading into this. The star Ben Affleck, a long history of struggling in Hollywood before he finally broke through. I will kind of get into that real quick. He started out like he was a child star in a movie called The Dark End of the Street, which I never heard of. Did a lot of, and I don't think anybody's really heard of it, did a lot of TV, really never went anywhere. Really had a breakthrough. The first time anybody had ever seen him was in the 1992 film School Ties. Have you seen School Ties?
It doesn't ring any bells.
It's hilarious to, like, we talked about anti-Semitism previously. It's an anti-Semitism movie. It's Brendan Fraser shows up at a exclusive prep school and they find out he's Jewish, and then it's like they kind of like push back of the fact that he's Jewish. I'm like, who cares? Like, it's
no shit.
But it starred Brendan Fraser, Chris O'Donnell, Cole Hauser, Matt Damon in one of his first roles, and then Affleck was in it as well. So that's really the first time anybody had ever seen Ben Affleck, and you're like, okay, he was in that. And then he had the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. He was in that as well. The next year, maybe the stereotypical Ben Affleck role for a long time, as one of the seniors ready to whoop some ass of the freshmen is Fred O'Bannon as one of the mini characters in Dazed and Confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good one. And I mean, he's such a prick in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Just a first class prick, but leaning into it, obviously doing what he needs to do. Have
Yeah.
you? So I thought about including it. I changed my mind just because I'm not sure how familiar you are with Kevin Smith movies. Mallrats Chasing Amy. I'll give you. Have you seen either of those? Heard of either of those?
Mallrats.
You've seen Mallrats?
Yeah, and then is it Jay and Silent Bob?
Yeah, Jay and he also does Jay.
Yeah.
He does Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. He's been a big friend of Kevin Smith for a long time, so I just wanted to include those. But he's kind of starting to come up and comer guy. He's in the movie Chasing Amy. Obviously, 1997 being the year where he really becomes a thing. Obviously, with Good Will Hunting.
Oh yeah, I think that was really for him and Matt Damon. That was really the breakout.
Yeah, and I mean, Matt Damon he was going to be a star even without Good Will Hunting. Like he was starring in a movie outside of that, but still. With Good Will Hunting, they really shoot into the stratosphere. They win they win the best. It's funnily actually they win best original screenplay for Good Will Hunting. They are awarded by Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon.
Really?
Interesting. Yeah, whenever they get that. But so he gets Good Will Hunting, and then from then on, everybody's like, okay, this kid's a star. Let's make him a star. They throw him in. Have you seen the? It kind of gets a bad rap just because it beat Saving Private Ryan for Best Picture. But have you seen Shakespeare in Love?
I don't think I have.
It's a good.
I've heard of it.
It's a real good movie. It's a romantic comedy. It's fun. It's light. It doesn't try to be like you kind of look at it as, oh, this prestige thing is like, I don't really see it as the prestige thing. It's kind of a light romantic comedy. I really enjoy it. He's really fun in it. He's kind of self-aware in it. Now, the time whenever he stops being Ben Affleck from Good Will Hunting and starts to be like, okay, I am a thing now, is also 1998 with those big, fat, shiny veneers on that brand new set of teeth as AJ in Armageddon.
Of course.
Oh
yeah.
And now, so I encourage anybody to go check out what Ben Affleck looks like in Good Will Hunting. And then I want you to go watch Ben Affleck in some scenes in Armageddon.
Post money,
exactly.
Pre-money, post money.
Pre-money, post money. It's not like it's drastic different. Not like you got a nose job or anything like that. But right. I mean, the shiniest white teeth and just clean and just cut well. And I think he's dating Gwyneth Paltrow at the time, or something like that. So I mean. And the peak, like this is like, oh, Ben Affleck's the hot guy now. This is what he does. This is also the area where everybody's like, yeah, he's the second banana, where he's kind of the dumb guy who's attractive, but that's about it. 1999, another Kevin Smith movie, a very much a movie that really has some problems with the Catholic Church, as many do. Have you seen the movie Dogma?
Yes.
I like Dogma. Dogma's great.
I do too.
Like I said, it's very critical of Catholicism and religion in general. But I mean, really, really interesting ideas with fart jokes. Like it's like there's a shit monster. Selma Hayek plays a stripper. Like,
yeah, it doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah,
I think what I like about Dogma is like, it doesn't take itself too seriously, but I think it points to organized religion and say, y'all are taking yourself too seriously.
That's a really good point. Like, hey, see how stupid all this is? Shouldn't it be this stupid? Like, don't you, why are you taking this all at face value? You need to kind of like, you can take it seriously, but this is way too serious. Like George Carlin as a priest blesses his golf club so they can kill a priest because of that exact reason. They can kill a demon. So stupid stuff like that. But like I said, I also really like Dogma. In 2000, a series of interesting movies. He was in a romantic drama, Bounce, with Gwyneth Paltrow. Wasn't going to include that. The little indie film called Boiler Room. He's in it for like 10 minutes. The other movie I want to. This is a Kuwait classic. How about Reindeer Games?
Oh yeah,
Reindeer Games sucks. It's not a good movie,
it does. But when you live overseas and that's the only thing in English,
yes, exactly.
That's what you're gonna watch.
You're like, well, Gary Sinise looks like he's still Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah,
Charlize Theron before anybody knew who Charlize Theron was. Just a not good movie, but like you said,
no.
it's in English. I'll take it. Yeah, I agree. Speaking of terrible movies, the same year as Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, the movie that was supposed to be his premiere thing, but it turned into what it was, Pearl Harbor. Yes, we talked about this in the last Mohicans episode. It's World War II really interrupting this love story. I'm like, no, that's the wrong way to put it. Like, it's
just well.
Yeah,
historically, was there a guy that was in the Eagle Squadron as a volunteer in England, and then was in Pearl Harbor, and then was in the Doolittle raid?
Sure. No. Yeah. Exactly.
And was banging Kate Beckinsale. Give me a break.
Yeah, and then,
get out of here.
By the way, the supporting cast in that movie is incredible. Like, Tom Sizemore, Michael Shannon is there. Alec Baldwin playing Doolittle. You got a bunch of other character actors showing up doing a lot of cool stuff, but still, it's a ridiculous movie.
That's like there's a chair in my house. That's like me calling the entire house the chair.
Oh, okay.
It's like Pearl Harbor's only one little part of it.
Well, it's funny
because it covers World War. Well, it doesn't even cover World War II. It just covers a love story, and
yeah, I mean, there is literally
a fucking war gets in the way.
Don't get me wrong. The actual battle part of World War, the Pearl Harbor, that's some really dynamic filmmaking. Like, I
agree.
All the Cuba Gooding Jr. stuff, really cool.
Yeah.
The guys,
the special effects
guys. Yes, but I mean.
Excellent.
That 45-minute stretch, pretty cool. Everything else is stupid. Yes. And not to mention one of the wasted trailers of our lifetime. Those kids playing baseball and all those planes coming in and them stopping and staring. An incredible trailer, and then that turd of a movie. Even it gets such a bad rap because it's a terrible movie. But it by no means affected Ben Affleck's sustainability. The next year, he's in a ton of stuff. How about one of my favorite underrated, like, if it's on TV, it's a fun movie to watch. That it's the kind of the sister or the little brother to Falling Down. Have you seen Changing Lanes with him and Samuel L. Jackson? Essentially, I think they get in a fender bender and Affleck runs off, and it kind of ruins Samuel L. Jackson's life, and then he just kind of enacts revenge on him. It's an interesting little movie. It's
might have to check that out.
Changing Lanes is an interesting one. Same year, he takes over the role of Jack Ryan, the most forgettable of the movies, but I do like The Sum of All Fears.
Yes.
Yeah. They blow up Baltimore, but I mean, what are you gonna do? So he's even though he has the turd of Pearl Harbor makes a ton of money. Changing Lanes, pretty well acclaimed. Sum of All Fears, successful, reasonable. Everything's going okay, and then 2003 shows up. I'm not going to include Geely because I haven't seen it. I doubt you've seen it. We got plenty of. We didn't bash much Jennifer Lopez in the last episode. But the other movie he was in with the other Jennifer who he married, 2003, the first attempt at a superhero movie, Daredevil.
Yeah, I actually did see that one. I usually don't catch the superhero ones, but I did watch that one.
Another real turd. Like
I think that's why I don't watch many superhero movies.
it's like you have Daredevil as just like, well, what kind of movies do you want? Daredevil and Elektra, and you're like, oh, these are all awful. Yeah, the Daredevil's terrible, and
Yeah.
you know, I get why Affleck did it. He wanted to probably play a superhero. You know, doesn't have kids yet, but still, it's like, well, I'm young, why not? It's an interesting idea, but so he keeps going through. It doesn't really like then he starts making turd after turd. A sci-fi movie called Paycheck, a sci-fi movie called Paycheck, a terrible Christmas movie called Surviving Christmas. Another.
I have seen that.
You've seen Surviving Christmas? I haven't even seen Surviving
Yeah.
Christmas. I've heard it's bad.
Fucking bad.
Okay. And then another J-Lo pairing, the movie Jersey Girl with where he takes care of his daughter. And then so at that point he's like, okay, well, maybe I need to take a step back. He doesn't really do a whole lot. 2006, he does kind of reappear. He appears in Clerks 2 just as like a cameo. And then he's in the movie Hollywoodland. Have you seen the movie Hollywoodland? I don't have that on the list. He plays George Reeves, the guy who played TV's Superman. And it's a noirish movie about like he was killed, but nobody really knows why did he kill himself? Was it an accident? Did the mob kill him? And it kind of goes through all these interesting things. Diane Lane, Adrian Brody's in it. It's an interesting movie. He's really good in it. And he actually received some acclaim for it. And everybody's like, is Ben Affleck back? He really came back the next year by not showing up because he directed Gone Baby Gone, which is a movie we'll eventually do on this podcast because Gone Baby Gone's great.
It is.
I don't have it on the list because he is technically not acting in it. This is more his acting movies. But Gone Baby Gone 2007, everybody's like, okay, he does this kind of stuff. Cool. He's starting to get a little more acclaim, comes back, and then 2010 hits with The Town.
Woo, that's a banger.
We almost did. That was almost our little inside baseball for almost our second episode. But
I can't remember something.
There was a reason.
Changed our minds. I can't know why.
There was no good reason why we didn't do it, but we were supposed to do The Town very early and didn't. We're gonna do it eventually. The Town's great. Yeah.
We gotta put that. Man, we might have to do that for March.
You're not wrong. We might have to do it real soon. I'm more than happy to move some stuff around. Get The Town in there. Okay, so The Town comes in. It's the second movie he's ever directed. Big acclaim, lots of money, gets Jeremy Renner a Best Supporting Actor nomination. 2011, he does a little movie called The Company of Men, gets good acclaim for that one. Then 2012, directs another movie, huge success, Best Picture winner Argo.
Yeah.
So, and famously snubbed for Best Director nomination, but the movie wins Best Picture. Argo's a great, one thing that I noticed that Ben Affleck does really well, he does a really great job of directing tension.
Yes,
the last 30 minutes of Argo are almost unbearably tense.
And it's like, I was telling my wife, I don't think you can truly understand the tension that is actually there unless you have lived in a foreign country. I mean, under precarious circumstances and been completely vulnerable.
It's I agree.
We were overseas for 9/11.
Yeah. And it's an odd feeling of insecurity that you're just like, there's just tension. You're just like, is something going to happen? Nothing ever did happen. Yeah. Nothing was close to happening, but still, it's just, I agree. It's just that level of
terrifying. How am I going to get home?
How am I going to get home? Yes, that's a good way to put it. Makes Argo in 2012, gets an Oscar for Best Picture. So he technically has 2 Oscars already as the producer. 2014 makes Gone Girl. 2016 makes his return to the superhero genre with mixed results. He was good. He was applauded for what he did. Movie made a lot of money, Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice.
No.
Another not very good movie that does a lot of stupid things. He is a very, very good Batman / Bruce Wayne. And the funny thing about it is you see him in Gone Girl. At the beginning of the movie, he's kind of thinner. And as the movie goes along, he gets bulkier and they have to hide it because he's in Batman shape. And
gotcha.
so
Okay.
he's a so he's in, and you see him with the shirt off. He's ripped in that movie. But a good Batman, good Bruce Wayne. Movie's not great, but whatever. 2016 directs another movie called Live by Night, a movie I have not seen. It's about a bootlegger, I think. A movie I haven't seen. I haven't heard a whole lot of good stuff about it. The other movie from 2016, you want to talk about is the real superhero that Ben Affleck played, the man, the myth, the legend, The Accountant.
Yeah,
I love
outstanding.
I love The Accountant.
Absolutely outstanding.
And, the cultural depictions of autism in general are a little dicey.
Yep.
Man, Affleck really nails it. He does a great job of it. Like, you go into that movie and you're like, I don't know about all this. And that's a great movie. A fantastic movie that can be on TV any day of the week and watch.
Yeah, man, when I first watched that, man, there were so many times that I got chills.
Yeah.
I literally was like,
so for full discretion,
nailing it.
For full discretion, my son has autism. So for the sake of this, like anytime we watch anything with any sort of autism storyline, I kind of come in with sort of incredulity, and he does, and like you said, you see those mirrors of those type of things, and you're like, man, he does a great job of The Accountant. By the way, he self-admits one of his favorite roles.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
man, oh man,
I like it too. It's great.
That ending too, when it all comes together.
I love The Accountant.
It's great.
It's great. I agree. So after The Accountant does pops back in as Batman every once in a while, does another Jay and Silent Bob cameo. Have you seen the 2020? Probably would have made a little more money if it wasn't for the fact that it happened during COVID. But as a struggling basketball coach in The Way Back.
Yes,
I like The Way Back. I think he too. I think he does a good job.
Yeah, kind of reminded me of Hoosiers a little.
Yeah, a little like
the classic comeback story. I mean,
sure, I agree, and more about the coach than anybody else, but still, like, and you can tell by that movie that he's like, oh, he cares about basketball and knows about basketball, and I agree. So from last year, had a dual interesting year. I don't know if you've seen the last one, but have you seen The Last Duel? It is. I
don't think so.
It is it's a true story about the last duel in France. A man played by Adam Driver rapes the wife of Matt Damon, and Ben Affleck is kind of the governor of it and overseeing it all. It's 3 different movies essentially into one. It's from Matt Damon's perspective, one from Adam Driver's perspective, and one from the wife's perspective. And Ben Affleck's kind of like this jackass French governor, but he's hilarious in it. He's great in the movie.
Is Adam Driver that real ugly bastard?
Yes, that's what.
Okay.
It's funny. People will probably be very mad at you for calling him ugly.
Probably.
I get what you're saying, but yes.
Call me ugly. I know.
The Last Duel.
I don't care.
The Last Duel is really cool. Medieval battles, all that kind of cool stuff. Really interesting movie. And then from last year, probably really close to an Oscar nomination. Have you seen The Tender Bar?
No.
Tender Bar. I won't include The Tender Bar on the list, but I mean, The Tender Bar is a movie where this kid is essentially like his family isn't the greatest. So he has a deadbeat dad. So he kind of learns life from his uncle, who is Ben Affleck, and he's kind of a swinging dude, just like a nice guy on the side. It's on Amazon. Nice, easy watch. Sweet movie. It's a George Clooney directed it. Nice little movie. I would. It's nice to throw on if you're feeling like something. So that just about does it for him. He is going to be in a couple of movies coming up this year. They're making a movie about the Flash, and they're having, like Spider-Man, they're doing multiple iterations of Batman in it. So he's going to be Batman again in Flash. Michael Keaton's going to be Batman in that one too. Now the other movie coming out in a couple of weeks, he directed and stars in it. There's a movie called Air, where it's another Affleck Damon joint where Matt Damon plays a shoe salesman at Nike who works to sign Michael Jordan as a client.
I just saw a preview of that the other day.
Yep. And Ben Affleck playing Nike founder Phil Knight and the director of that too. So I'm sure that'll be successful coming out in a couple of weeks. A long storied career for Ben Affleck, supposedly going to make another accountant movie. Can't wait. Probably directing all sorts of stuff. I think he's only directed he's up to 5 movies, I think. So it's not like he's a very prolific director.
Right.
But still working, doing plenty of stuff. So you have not seen School Ties, Shakespeare in Love, Changing Lanes, Batman, Superman, and The Last Duel. You have seen Dazed and Confused, Good Will Hunting, Armageddon, Dogma, Reindeer Games, Pearl Harbor, Sum of All Fears, Daredevil, The Town, Argo, The Accountant, and The Way Back. 12 out of 17. Very well done. Well done. A populist actor. There's a lot of stuff I did not. The guy works a lot. Since 97, he has done at least 2 things every year from 97 to 2006. He directs Gone Baby Gone, and then he's in something every year until Gone Girl. And then he's in multiple things every year except 2018. So, I mean, the guy's very prolific. And now he gets to go home to Jennifer Lopez again. I mean, what are you going to do? So well done on Ben Affleck, 12 out of 17.
All right.
Think it's about that time, buddy.
Yeah. Unlike the detective, in this movie, I'm not going to hold a fucking coffee cup while I talk to you. But step into the hot box.
Each episode, instead of me steering the conversation, Jake peppers into the series of questions I must answer truthfully. Sometimes it's Trish trivia. Sometimes it's not. What do you got for me?
Yeah, that pissed me off the entire time.
Put the coffee down.
Yeah, if I was Ben Affleck, I would have said, sure, I'll talk to you as soon as you're done with your coffee break and want to act like a fucking professional and actually speak to someone.
I like it.
I don't like her accent either. I don't like that lady, man.
Oh, Lord.
Okay. But enough about me. We're here to ask you questions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Do you know your wife's blood type?
I sure do. I know her. I am a lockbox of information when it comes to, I know both my kids' social security numbers. I know my wife's social security number. I know their blood types. I know her blood type. I know all that stupid stuff. I don't know why I'm like that, but man, I do. Probably why I know all the Oscar trivia that I do. It goes in my head and sticks there. I do know my wife's blood type, which is, of course, the first time we saw this like, should I know my wife's blood type? And I turned to her. I'm like, yes, you should know your wife's blood type. I do, at least.
Well, we did the same thing watching this. And I went, I think I ran through all of them before I got to the right one.
Fun fact. So I'm A positive. My wife is A negative. So whenever our son was born, we're like, okay, well, what is he? He's A positive. Okay, well, that makes sense. When our daughter was born, they're like, she's O negative. And we're like, what? How's that work? And they're like, well, that just happens if you're the same blood type. You can essentially be O from anything.
Right.
So that it was just kind of really threw us for a half second, but yeah.
Yeah. My blood type is also my motto in life.
That's right.
Be positive.
That's right. Because whenever I think of you, I think of positivity.
That's right. It really needs to be negative, but it's be positive.
It's not, that's the facts. Yeah.
Okay. So we mentioned earlier the close relationship that Margot and Nick have, that close sibling relationship. If I did kill my wife,
okay,
and acted like she was missing, would you want me to tell you? Or no?
It seems like an ignorance is bliss type thing. Also, I know with married couples, you can't be compelled to testify. That's not the case with siblings, correct? So
not as far as I know.
Not as far as I know. So if that's the case, then I'd rather not have to get up on a stand and say, hey, he told me this under oath. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can always lie, but at the same time, like I would prefer some plausible deniability.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah. I think I would give you plausible deniability where you could honestly say, I don't know.
Like, and I think Nick does that in this movie. Like he says things that are incriminating that she could say various things that would put him in jeopardy. But at the same time, it's not like he never says, yes, I killed her, or maybe I wanted to kill her.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. That being said, can you be in court in a couple months?
I saw her right before this podcast. So if you did it, you did it during our break.
She's alive and well.
Okay.
So speaking of her, she loves crime dramas.
Yeah.
And like Dateline, true crime series, all that kind of stuff. She loves like murder mystery, suspense, thriller books and stuff like that. Are you a big fan of like crime dramas and kind of that genre, or what are your feelings on that?
I like the idea of them more than the reality. Like stuff like this where there's like interesting thought out, interesting full ideas where people are fairly intelligent, or there's intelligence meant to be shown. I like that. But the reality of most situations, especially murders, it's a bunch of idiots. Like it's a bunch of dumbasses. Like for example, they talk about Jeffrey Dahmer being this brilliant killer and this brilliant serial murderer. It's like, no, he should have been caught 40 times. And it's just ineptitude is what got him away with everything. He should have killed 2 people and that was it. But it's not, he wasn't a genius that just happened to be a murderer. He's an idiot that should have been caught. And the circumstances led to the way it is. Like,
he got lucky, basically.
He got lucky. Yeah. And those, oh, I'm going to kill my wife and get away with it. No, you're not, because you're stupid. If you weren't stupid, you would find some other solution.
Yeah. And it's like Bundy was actually smart. He was an exception.
Yes.
But not smart enough because he got fucking caught.
And I mean, even his way of getting around it was like, oh, I'm charming. I'm going to charm my way out of these situations.
Yeah, it was more charisma than anything.
Yeah, he's not like he's not like
good looks and charisma.
He's not covering up his fingerprints and they can't find a print anywhere. Anything stupid like that. Yeah.
All right. Are you very familiar with Gillian Flynn?
Not really. I know a little bit. This is obviously the one that everybody kind of knows her for. I know Sharp Objects. They made a miniseries out of Sharp Objects, which I have not gotten around to. Did she also do? I'm trying to think. She wrote the film Widows with Viola Davis. Colin Farrell's in that movie. It's an interesting, I don't know if it's it's a good movie that I like watching, but it's a different type of movie. Yeah. So widows is a group of widows of bank robbers who, when all the bank robbers are killed, all the women are kind of forced to pay the debt that they were supposed to pay off.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Viola Davis, Colin Farrell, Carrie Coon is actually in that.
Really?
Robert Duvall, Liam Neeson. Interesting movie. She wrote that one. For some reason, I was thinking she wrote Girl on a Train, but she did not.
Yeah.
That's
the only reason I'm very familiar with her is, like I said, my wife loves
big reader.
that genre.
Yeah.
And yeah, Gillian Flynn's one of her favorite authors. She's read pretty much everything.
Does she have a favorite? I know she
I'm sure she does. But
Sharp Objects, Dark Places, and Gone Girl. Had you read Gone Girl before?
No, I've never read it.
I haven't either. I don't know. I don't necessarily know how close it is.
But I watched the series Sharp Objects.
Oh yeah.
After she had read that.
Twisty, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. Does this case, obviously, in this film, there's this major case that grabs nationwide attention. Here recently, something like the college murders in Idaho or something like that, but specifically focusing on husbands and missing wives or murdered wives. Do any actual cases that you can remember of, like, does this movie remind you of any actual cases?
Is it Jordan Peterson? Who's the not Jordan Peterson, but Peterson.
Yeah. Scott Peterson.
Yes, Scott Peterson. I knew it was somebody. Yeah, I remember that story kind of being like, I was the wrong age to care. I was kind of the in between of like, oh, I heard he probably killed his wife, but he's like, he swore he doesn't do it, and it's like, but then he dyed his hair and ran to Canada or something like that. And I'm like, oh, well, that sounds suspicious. Is that the one you were thinking of?
It's one that came to mind.
Lacey Peterson. Okay.
Yeah.
And her baby. Oh, yikes.
Yep. Yeah. He was an ex-cop, actually.
Oh, really? I just remember they made a Lifetime movie out of it and played by Dean Cain. The highest of quality.
Oh man. Yeah. No comment. All right. But one that I thought of more, do you remember this one? It was just recently. Do you remember Chris Watts? Have you seen that?
Chris Watts. I have not.
Dude, it's crazy because the entire call, like the initial call, everything is on body camera. And so, I mean, you see the entire thing from the jump.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He killed his wife, 2 pretty little girls, and dumped them in an oil tank out on a work site he had.
Yikes. What?
But good looking, well educated, nice house.
Any particular, like, what was the motive besides, like, well, I didn't want to have
Take kids. A guess, bud.
Oh, he's sleeping with somebody else.
Another chick.
Yeah. The tale as old as time.
I think that was Scott Peterson's deal too.
Jeez, man.
Got to get that strange, bud.
Oh, good God. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, all right. I got to get my coffee again, so I'll let you go.
Okay. So you're gonna pick it back up. So now that we can continue this conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Jake, before we go, what is your film rating of Gone Girl?
It's pretty damn good.
I agree.
I don't know. I mean, if it's on, I'll watch it.
Absolutely.
And I don't know. I really enjoy it.
I really enjoy
like it.
I really enjoy
I
it
think
too.
it's well acted.
I agree. And for a movie that's almost 2.5 hours long, really flies by.
Yeah,
Like,
it goes pretty quick.
does not seem like the type of movie that you're like, man, this is taking forever or anything like that. I also really like Gone Girl. It's my second favorite movie from 2014. 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoy it. It's probably the most unfincher like David Fincher movie. Like, we talk about Seven and Fight Club and Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. It suits his personality, but it's not really that kind of kind of that subgenre. But I still do really like Gone Girl. 2014 in general, great movie year, and really big fan of that movie in general. All right, I think that just about does it for us, buddy. That does it for this episode of the Film Critic the Common Man. Thank you so very much for joining us. You can follow me on Twitter at NebIsBen, on Letterboxd at Neb810, on Instagram at Ben and Miller Movies. You can check out my website, icecreamforfreaks.com. Should be on another podcast guesting, talking about the 1996 car crash and sex movie Crash. I think we talked about it in a previous episode. It is a trip. And that podcast is gonna be a trip too. You can follow my other writing on the film experience of Cinema Scholars. You can follow my other pods as the David Thewlis of podcasting. Jake, where can the people find you in your big deaded to the lips luxury Missouri home?
You'll never find me.
I'm gone. Yeah, I'm just gone.
I'm Gone Girl over here, bud. I'm Gone Girl.
Throwing pencils out the window as you happily eat chips. And make sure to follow the podcast on Twitter at Critic Common Pod, and please like, subscribe, rate, and review. Enjoy the show wherever you get your podcast. We'll back to regularly scheduled programming next week. We got a good one next week too. Oscar time coming up. Why not we reflect on a great Oscar movie, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. A lot of great film. We'll get into it in depth. We will catch you guys next time. Thanks so much for having us.
What's the trick? What's the trick? In making my love stick. What's the trick?